Welcome to Founders Future, a podcast powered by Closers.io, where we dive into the journeys of innovative entrepreneurs and explore the road ahead for them and their companies. I'm your host, Jay Encarnacion, and in each episode, we uncover the stories behind impactful ventures, the challenges faced along the way, and the strategies driving their future growth. Today, we are thrilled to have Bob Graham, the founder and owner of SpearPoint. Bob brings over 30 years of experience as an English teacher at institutions like Towson University and Johns Hopkins, a prolific writing career with books like 55 Soft Skills to Rule the World, and a passion for helping small businesses and business owners write books and grow through coaching. Based in Forest Hill, Maryland, SpearPoint is transforming how entrepreneurs market themselves through its five-step power process and business coaching. We'll be exploring Bob's founding story, how SpearPoint empowers clients, and his vision for scaling this impactful venture. So with that being said, let's dive right in. Bob, welcome to Founders Future.
Hey, thanks for having me. This is fun. I love talking about myself.
I love it. I love it. You got a phenomenal background, so I'm sure it is very conversational. It'll be a solid episode today, Bob. So pleasure having you on. Take us back to the beginning for our listeners here, if you can, to start us all. What specifically really inspired you to start SpearPoint?
So I'm going to go really far back. I studied journalism in college, and when I graduated, I worked for a local newspaper, and every month or two, I'd have to do a story about a new business. And you go out, you'd interview the owner, and almost every time I talked to an owner, I'd ask him a simple question: how'd you get started? They'd be like, nothing else works, so I started a company, or I had to do something. And I was like, oh, this is just bad marketing. And I found myself cajoling them into telling me something that I could use to write a story. Because who wants a headline that says, guy started bakery because he had nothing else going on?
Right.
My editor's going to kill me if I write that story and not run it. So I'm like doing business coaching and marketing help there. And it stuck with me. After I left newspapers, I got into marketing, and then I became an entrepreneur. I did teaching. And while I was teaching at Johns Hopkins, I had a lot of students there that were brilliant engineers, absolutely brilliant. Smartest people in the room. I was never the smartest person in the room, even though I was the teacher. And I'm teaching them communications, and I'm realizing that they have these great products and services, but they have no way to connect them to the people that can use them. The common answer back then was, oh, once I graduate, I'm going to buy some Google ads and people will find it. Well, and I know that doesn't always work the way it seems like it should when you're a 20-year-old who's just created a brilliant solution. We're talking like medical devices and social solutions. And so I left that job after a couple of years and started my own company with the real goal of focusing on marketing and helping companies. I did a lot of small business coaching, really helping them with marketing and just leadership and organization and processes. But then about a year and a half ago, a friend of mine said, you've helped me with a couple of books. You're really good at this book stuff. Why don't you help small business owners with books? It would really differentiate you, and you light up when you talk about it. And I was like, wow, that's an interesting idea. That was on a Friday. And I said, no way, that's stupid. Right. Monday morning, I came up with SpearPoint, and the printing operation of it is SpearPointINK, INK. And it's been off to the races ever since, helping small business owners generate leads, generate more referrals, and become thought leaders through books primarily.
Wow, incredible. So with that, I definitely want to dive into that right there. Beautiful way to finish that. Walk us through, especially for our listeners, what the core offer is here. I know that you have the super books, the five-step power process, coaching services. How is it structured for your clients, and who is your ideal client?
Ideal client would be a business owner who deals with consumers that they generate a fair amount of money from them with each transaction. So think of a financial advisor, where if you have money under management, you can make thousands of dollars. Writing a book is not a $500 enterprise. Most of the books I write, I ran a deal, they were $2,500, but typically they're in the $7,500 to $35,000 range. And that's not a lot of money if you're going to make a lot of money from one client. And so I had one client I wrote a book for, and He gave it to his clients and said, is there anyone else you'd like to give a copy to? And they gave him some names. Turns out he was a financial advisor. Many of his clients were older. His clients gave the book to their children. The book was about financial planning at any age. And 4 of those kids called him and were his clients within the first month. So it
Wow.
does work. Other people I've helped write books have gotten on stages where, I don't know if you've done a lot of this, I've done it, where I'm standing on a stage, I'm getting paid to speak to the very people I want to become clients.
Yes.
It's like double dipping almost. It's, wait, you're going to pay me to put me in a room where I'm the expert talking to the people that can help me. A book really helps that because event planners respond to books,
Mm,
organizers respond to books. And when you're up on that stage and they introduce you and say, Bob Graham, who wrote this book, suddenly people are like, oh, he wrote a book. Because
right.
I'm going to go to my grave believing that we have the ninth grade mentality, which was you were in ninth grade or some grade. There was a book about a subject. It was really thick. And you were like, man, that dude that wrote that book must be one really smart sucker if he could write this big book.
Yeah.
That's what a book does now. And
Yeah.
when I say a book, I'm not talking about the Bible or the
Right.
dictionary. I'm
Right.
talking about 70 to 100 page paperback book with lots of white space, lots of opportunities to not read it, to read the headlines, to read little sections, and to really understand what the person's doing. Most of the people will never read your book.
Mm,
Now, I write great books. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying they're garbage. I'm not saying it's just words in the middle. It's not AI. They're legit written books that
mm,
are unique to the person. They tell the person's story, they tell how they see the problem, and they see how they work with the solution, much like what I'm doing with this interview.
yes.
But where a book's a little different is the book is something someone can consume when they choose. And
Right.
it's also more easy to give to someone else. Be like, hey, Jay, you got to read this book. Bob wrote this book. It's exactly what you're asking for. You look at the book, even if you only look at the cover and the back and you go, wow, Bob knows what he's talking about. I wonder if he can solve my problem. Let me call him. That's the sweet spot of a book.
I
I
love
don't
it.
know that I answered your question.
You did definitely for your ideal client. So now, as far as the offer that you have for your clients, walk us through that a bit.
Okay. I knew there was a second part that I didn't handle well.
Yeah, that's all
Sorry
right.
about that. So the offer really is to write the book for them through more and more because people are so busy. It's a 3 to 4 hour interview process. I talk to the person, we figure out an outline, a very detailed outline, and then we talk about the stories that wrap around that. So I talked to someone about a book. We did the interview on Wednesday. I've already started writing the draft for them. I have a formula with my power process that works pretty well. And I can, because I was a journalist and I know what we're trying to do, I'm not spinning wheels. I'm
Right.
asking the key questions. Tell me about your client. And really, the key is the positioning. Who
Yes.
are you really trying to get in front of? Because I would argue a book for divorced mothers is a different book than a book for divorced dads.
Yes.
And
Yes.
most people, when they write books, and anyone who's written a book, I got nothing but respect.
Thank you.
Bravo. It is an accomplishment. But most of us learn the hard way that the book that we would write is the book we'd write for ourselves,
Right.
not for our audience. And while I would love to write a book for Bob that tells you how great I am in Bob terms, the books I've written, the 7 I've written, have all spoken to a client and their problem and how I help solve it.
Interesting. Very interesting. Incredible. So, on top of that side, writing books, that's definitely a time consuming task. I know that you do coaching as well. Is that still something that you're doing one on
I,
one
I
coaching?
do some coaching. I like to help small business owners. I have a couple legacy clients, and then every now and then someone just pops up on my radar through a referral or something, and I do some of that coaching. When I left teaching, my goal was to find a business where I got to do coaching slash mentoring,
Right.
speaking, and writing.
Win win.
And I've built like honestly, I built a business. Everyone's how'd you build your business? I knew what I wanted to do,
Yeah.
and that's what I focus on. And
You
it's
did.
not as hard as people think. The hard part's knowing what you want to do.
Absolutely. Incredible. That is incredible. So, Bob, how are you thinking about the idea of scale, right? Is this something that is more of a passion project for you, or do you really want to take this and scale it?
No, I want to scale. I want to be one of these guys. I've worked with millionaires. I've coached millionaires. I've coached multimillionaires. I've seen what it takes. I want to join that club. And to do that, I've got to scale, of course. And that's harder in some cases for me because I am the intellectual property.
That's what I was
So that's where you talked about that power process.
right.
I'm actually working with someone right now to see if that power process can be applicable to someone else doing the writing.
Interesting.
I am looking reluctantly, but it would be foolish not to, at AI and what it can do. And I'm learning more and more as I use AI that good input leads to good output. And if the sweet spot of what I do is really that interview, asking the right questions, getting the right information, then how it's written isn't the most important part. It's the interview part that's the important part. And that's an epiphany that hit me really about 3 weeks ago. If you had asked me a month ago, what's the most important part? I would have said my writing.
Amazing.
But now I'm starting to realize it's just like you ask the right questions on this interview, and it's a great interview. And could you tell someone how to do it? Yes, but they're going to read, Bob, question number 4. Right. Tell me your origin story. You do it more organically, and therefore the person opens up. So I'm trying to bring the same thing to what I do.
Love it. I absolutely love that. So for right now, obviously your mindset now is thinking of ways, okay, how can I take this to the next level? How can I scale this? What are you doing right now that's working best around the acquisition piece? How are you getting those clients coming in, working with you?
That is the hard part. Honestly, that's the name of the game. Scaling, I don't think that the scaling is the writing process. The scaling is finding the people, because most people don't think about a book as a lead generation tool.
Right.
They don't think of it as thought leadership. And I don't know what is wrong with me. I keep going into these areas where I have to evangelize about what I do. And it's like Apple. Apple goes out and they create the iPad, and it's a whole new thing. And they have all these ads, and they're on TV shows and all that. And then all these other companies coming with tablets and take market share where Apple did all the hard legwork. I feel sometimes like I'm doing that a lot. I hear the same things all the time. I don't know enough for a book.
Yeah.
I would argue everyone knows enough for a book. If you know your customer, if you know how you help them, I can help you write a book. I don't have, test me on that. I would love to be tested on that. But I hear that, I don't know enough, or what if I get it wrong? Or there are already a million books out there about the topic. Okay, yes, there are a million books out about every topic. However, the way you would do it is different than the way I would do it. And your podcast is one of 4 billion podcasts.
Exactly.
But I consumed a couple of episodes prior to this. I was like, wow, this is really good content. I like the way Jay approaches this. So that's what you get. You've got to get over those hurdles. And there's something permanent about a book that's different than a one-to-one discussion. And I love the permanence of it. I love the idea of the books on my shelves. This is a fake background. This is not all the books I've worked on. I should be clear. But I love the idea that there are all these books, and each of these books gives us a little piece of the world that we're in, a better understanding. And so the book I would help you write would give the people that resonates with a better understanding of you and how you see the world, which is going to inform how they see the world. So it's not just a job to me. It's really passion. And when I say telling a story, I mean that I want to help people tell their story, because your story, whoever you are, it's unique to you. And there's someone who needs to hear it. I'm telling you, just like someone needs to hear what I'm saying right now. It's just the way it is. And if you hold that story back, you could be hurting your business and you could be hurting yourselves.
Yeah.
I find that I learned a lot about people in doing the book process. One of the things that's really fascinating is they understand their client at the end of that interview in a way that they never understood it before. Because I'm asking them really specific questions. Because if you tell me anyone with a credit card is my client, I'm going to say, oh, what if a 4-year-old boy walks into your store and he has a credit card they found on the ground? Your client? Oh, of course not. Okay, so we've already, what about someone who's 85 years old and on their deathbed?
Right.
No, not my client. Okay. And we start to narrow it. And as you narrow it, you can become more focused on what matters to that person. And I always joke with people, I want to go to the grocery store and I want to know my client well enough that I can pick them out of the crowd.
Yeah.
So the guy I know, my client at the grocery store, he's dressed up, even though it's hot in Baltimore right now. He's got a suit
Yeah.
or he's got nice slacks, nice shirt. He's got his cell phone real handy. He's running through there as quickly as he can because he got stuck doing grocery shopping. It's
Yeah.
not his thing.
Yeah.
And he's going to get outside in the parking lot and he's going to get in a nice car.
Hmm.
You give me that, and I can tell you that's the guy I want to talk to. I'll walk up to him with you in the grocery store, tap him on the shoulder, and be like, "Hey, dude, I want to talk to you about writing a book." He'll be like, "Oh, wow. I never thought about that before. That's it. That's interesting. My
Yeah.
golf buddies would love it if I wrote a book. They'd be giving me a hard time for the rest of my life."
Yeah. I
So
love that. So, well, with that there, then, as far as the process itself, Bob, are you running this all on your own here? Are you a solopreneur? Do you have a bit of a team behind you, a sales team, marketing
I,
team?
I
Well,
have a virtual assistant that I'm working with. He does a lot of the graphic design work for me. And we're doing more. We're expanding that area. That's an area for growth for me, letting go of part of scaling is letting go of the parts that one, I'm not good at, and two, that someone else can do for less money,
yes.
and really zeroing in on the intellectual capacities and the areas where only I can bring it. So that interview, I don't think I can have a VA do that interview. I can't, it's too fluid, just like this interview. You got to be able to roll with the punches. And
Absolutely.
so knowing that, really trying, if you looked at the whiteboard behind me, I've in the last couple of weeks, I've broken out my entire process,
Mm.
step by painful step, and really looking at, okay, what are Bob's steps that only Bob can do? So the interview, the outlining of the book, the oversight of the writing process or the writing, not sure yet on that. And then really that final review. Does
Mm.
it pass my sniff test at the end that this is going to work? In between there, there's lots of steps. Proofreading. I don't need to proofread it. I can hire someone to proofread it. Grammar spelling check. I can hire someone out to do that, or I can use AI maybe. And so really thinking about it in a scalable way, which is one of the blessings having been a small business coach and seeing how most businesses don't think that out until it's too late. If anything, I'm way ahead of myself.
100%.
I should probably be slowing that down and spending more time on the acquisition part, which is hard.
It's tough.
I use LinkedIn a lot. I've got a lot of outreach on LinkedIn. I've been doing a lot of talking to people, podcasts, trying to talk to the people that talk to the people that might need books. So speakers, representatives, even some entertainment lawyers,
Okay.
just really, it's a spider web.
It's a
And
process.
I always joke, my girlfriend listens sometimes to my calls. She'll be like, all you do is talk. You never work, you just talk. And some days it feels like all I ever do is talk to people, but you never know.
Exactly.
I got a referral from someone that I would have never imagined the other day just because of Bob. You popped into my head. This person said book, and I remember you were talking about books with such passion.
I
You
love it.
never know where it's going to come from.
That's it. That's it. So I do want to take us into the lightning round here, Bob. Just
All
incredible
right.
having you and your mindset and your drive, your personality is incredible. So truly, it's been an honor, Bob, having you on the
Thank
show
you.
so far.
I've enjoyed it. It's gone by quickly.
It has for me as well. Two questions before we wrap it up. First thing that comes to mind, and the first thing here is, what does the rest of 2025 look like for you right now? What's your vision? What are you laser focused on for that growth?
The vision is 4 new books a month.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
That's aggressive. That's 2 more a month than I've ever had, but I think it's doable. And if I can do that with each month through the end of the year, I think that really forces me to scale.
Okay. I
So if
absolutely.
there's anyone out there who wants to write a lead generation book or become a thought leader,
Here we
I
go.
got slots available.
Here
Make
we
me
go.
busy.
Last and not least here, Bob, what is a piece of advice that you can offer? I know you're going to have something phenomenal here. Give something to our listeners here They just heard your amazing journey and you're going to do some incredible things with this. What can you leave them with before we wrap up the show?
I think we underestimate how much we've learned in our lifetimes
Hmm.
and how much we can share it, especially if we're doing something we really care about. There's a lot of passion, and with passion comes a lot of knowledge and a lot of opportunity to really share. And I try to be as open and free in sharing about what I do with books, with what I do, because I think there's a lot we can learn. And I always think of the college student. Part of my role as a teacher was to help them get to learn the lessons that I learned so
Yep.
that they're a step ahead of me. And I think if we all did that, we'd all advance things a lot faster. We'd find cures for diseases. We'd find solutions to big problems because they're all inside each of us. It's just a matter of being open and honest and just talking about yourself, not to brag about it, things that I don't know. And I would love to turn the tables and do the interview and interview you and be like, Jay, what have you learned from this podcast?
Yeah.
What works, what doesn't work? Because I've done podcasts. And who knows, you might say something and I could use it in a book or in an
Yeah.
interview and be like, wow, that's a great question, Jay. Or that's a really cool approach. I never thought about that. And I think we hold ourselves to such high regard until it's time to start telling people what we've learned, what we've discovered. And then most of us, we're either, oh no, I could never talk about that, or we're the other extreme, which is all we do is talk about that,
Mhm.
but in a very self-centered, egotistical way. And I think there's a middle ground. And I like when a book, the best praise I get with the book is the person goes, oh my God, you've helped me. That's a better story than I ever thought I had. I haven't embellished it. I've just brought out the parts that they're like, oh, I never really thought about that being unique. I didn't realize that made me special. I didn't. Oh, you're right. Like I'm always making these connections. Like, no wonder when you were doing that when you were 16 and now you're doing this. And they go, I never thought about that. And then they go, yeah, that is the connection. How cool is that? That's the fun of what I get to do is someone called it book therapy.
Yeah.
In some ways, that's what it is.
I love it. I love that. With that right there, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to wrap up another inspiring episode of Founders Future. Bob, truly cannot thank you enough for coming on the show, sharing your incredible journey and your insights with myself and the listeners today. And as I mentioned, I mean, your energy, your drive, your passion, clear as day, you're going to do some incredible things in the space, Bob. So an honor and a pleasure to have you on the show today. And we'll love to have you back because the conversation is
Okay.
so smooth. The time flew by. So definitely would love to have you back on in the future to give us some great updates, which I know there will be. And to our listeners, if you enjoyed this episode, which I know so many of you have, don't forget to subscribe to Founders Future wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. And also don't forget to check out SpearPoint at SpearPointINK.com to learn more
That's
about
INK, just so we're clear.
INK, correct, to learn more about their 5-step power process. And follow Bob on LinkedIn at linkedin.com/in/Bob-Graham. And for more resources and insights, you can visit us here at closers.io, where we are dedicated to helping businesses accelerate their growth through trained appointment setters and world-class marketing systems. Until then, keep climbing, and we will see you on the next one.